Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. I'm James and you're watching Blue Dog Aquatics. Now today we're going to talk about how I design backgrounds. Now there's a lot that goes into it, specifically, and stick around for the full video. I think we're going to release it on our Blue Dog Reptiles YouTube channel since we did the other big build on this channel. But this enclosure is for our mangrove monitor. There's still a lot that's going into it, but let me run you down what we have so far. So we have a 4-inch background here. This is just 4-inch sheet foam. And then we have a large round cork for her to hide in. We also have a place down there for her to hide. We're gonna have bioactive up here. And then this, once it's not full of foam, will be a water feature for her. Now, this used to be 4 enclosures. I say 4 because this one's up here. This one we actually cut open to hide the lighting. Originally it was going to be in here, so I actually do have to fill up the hole back there because that was supposed to be for the cords. But the more I thought about it, I was like, we don't want her getting burned, we don't want her messing with the lighting, so I just decided to open this up. We will have the misting system and fogger and anything else that we put up here. That way we can plumb it straight through the top of this enclosure. Now, when we're doing backgrounds, you need to think about what's best for the reptile, what's best for the animal. And you're like, well, James, you don't do a whole lot of reptile videos on this channel. Yeah, you're right, we don't. But I'm working on this one. We're already doing the full video for the other channel, so I wanted to give you guys an update because I know we're getting some comments on like an old video that we had on our mangrove monitor on the care guide that is a former employee. And originally she was supposed to go up in our front paludarium, but after seeing her in her current setup, her nails are shredding the background, and so there's a lot of precautions that we're taking to make sure she doesn't do the same to this one. One is when we finally do go to get finished with just the overall scaping of the background, we are going to dry lock. Now the front, something we didn't do with the front paludarium is we didn't use a heat gun to tighten up the pores of the foam. We are going to do that, which helps strengthen the foam. Also, we're going to add additional layers of dry lock. I think the front paludarium had 9 coats of paint. This one, I think we're going to be close to 15. I want to make sure that there's no way, A, she can damage the environment, but B, she doesn't get hurt herself. Now, a little bit about what we're doing here. You can see that I have pieces of ghostwood that are going down into the water feature. I wanted to give her a place to climb out, places to hide. But then you're like, well, what are you waiting for? Why don't you just start painting? Because we're not there yet. Now, you can see what I did with my black marker is I drew designs. This helps give me guidelines on how I want to do it, because you know, I do so many builds that sometimes my brain gets overwhelmed, and you know, it's nice to have kind of that cheat sheet of this is the way I want it, this is the marks that I want to do. So what we have here, what these hash marks are these are grooves, so they're going to be root structures. We're actually going to do a rope that's going to be built in here, but I need to make grooves into this in order to set it in there properly. Now this is attached to the sides with dry lock silicone, and then what I did was I put foam over the top of it to blend it. The biggest thing when doing backgrounds is you want to make sure that everything has been roughed up, otherwise the paint has a hard time sticking to it. Also, like you see all this fuzz from where I have been carving, you want to make sure that's all removed before you paint, because otherwise then it gets mixed in the paint. And you can see it's just dangling on the top of the cork here, but we will go through and do a full clean out before we start painting. Now, you can also see these marks going up here. Now this is actually going to be a tree that we are going to foam out and conform and give her more grabbing spaces and give it more of that naturalistic look. We're also going to do a foamed out portion right here to do like a branch, like it's coming up out of the background. And then up there, I kind of just noticed that looks like a butt, but you see the circle there. The circle is actually going to be hollowed out to give her more room up on the top if she decides to sit there and bask under her light. Now on this side over here, we're doing something very similar. We have the branch going that way. We have the trunk coming down, and then we are actually going to have the trunk branch out and conform to the top of here. That way it looks natural. I haven't decided if I'm going to do a branch that kind of foams out here and conforms, because then, you know, if she gets back here, I don't want her getting trapped. So also this is just a place for her to grab and sit around and bask. This is just flat cork that I put on top of the tote, and it also hides the tote. So, but yeah, I haven't decided if we're actually going to bring it this way. I might bring it down and have it conform over here. This corner I haven't entirely decided on. But with that being said, so I'll show you a little bit of what we're gonna do here. So this is Ponded Stone. I like this stuff because it's black already. You can see that I've used it already. And what I did here, I know there's going to be substrate in there, so I wanted to make sure it stays in there. So that's why I built up this wall, and we'll spruce it up. We'll put moss all around it, and then I have some areas where we're putting plants in. But a little bit on how to do this. So I always hold the can upside down. It's the easiest way for me to do it, but it's easier also if your foam is roughed up, because then the foam has something to grab onto, versus like this piece over here hasn't been scuffed up, and so the foam will have a hard time holding on to it. We shake up really well. It'll start coming out slow. And you can see that I am trying to look into the camera as well as look at what I'm doing on the wall. So you can see I'm shoving it into the background so that it sticks to it. And you're like, well, are you gonna make this like flat and pretty? No, we're gonna actually round it out, that way it looks real. And there's one section. Now, because I know the background is 4 inches thick, when I go to round it out, I have plenty of that depth. We're also gonna do this over here. I actually might need a second can. We will see. But like I said, most important thing is making sure that you have roughed up edges. Otherwise, it just rolls down. But I think we actually might start down here. If you don't push in on it, then it's just gonna flake off. Take your time, you're in no rush, because the last thing you want to do is to do this twice. The cost of foam is just unreal. Now, so we have that section right there. Now you see, if you go fast, it kind of pushes out away from the wall, and that's eventually you'll end up with it sagging out. So I'm doing it more wild out here because I know we're building up this whole section out here. There we go. You can see we have that built out. Now up here, there are grooves in here where the two sheets combine, and that's good because that'll help hold the foam up on higher levels. But just do it section by section. And what we're also going to do is we're going to tie it into this brace here as extra support. And all I'm doing is I'm just following the lines that I have. It's kind of like filling in colors. You just follow your lines. And there we have that section. Now what we're going to do is we're going to branch off. Now when I do backgrounds, I do a combination of sheet foam and spray foam. The sheet foam's nice because it takes up, you're not using 9 million cans to do the full background. And there we have it. So guys, as that sets, we're gonna figure out what we want to do over here. I actually might do the preliminary here, but I use sheet foam so that it does majority of the work. And then, and this is actually going to be divided, but I'll do that once we start carving. Again, I'm attaching it to another anchor point. But foam is awesome to do just detail work, because if you need a certain section filled out more, rather than, you know, going through all the foam, you can just add in, do sheet foam, and then when you do your detail work, you can do spray foam. So now we've come up to the cross point. I think this can is almost gone. Yep, and that can is gone. So that is how we build out and design backgrounds. Stick around for more videos on this. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel.